welcome to another I Am John Cullen podcast. This is John Cullen. In this episode, we're going to take a closer look at means, motive, and opportunity. Step 1 is to acknowledge that there's no evidence that Stephen Paddock shot anyone at the Harvest Festival. There's no gunshot residue mentioned in his autopsy. There does not appear to be a broken window in 32135. And there's no ballistic connection between the weapons in the room and the victims. In this footage from Josh Bitsko's body cam, we don't see 1,000 spent shell casings on the floor. We don't see the broken glass. It doesn't appear that the window has been broken. We run a couple different filters on the same footage, but it just does not appear that there's 1,000 spent shells, and that's most likely because that window's not broken. We watch this footage looking for 1,000 rounds of brass casings on the floor. By the window, we don't see them, and we don't see the window being broken either. If the window isn't broken, where Brett Brosnahan is walking now, if that window's not broken, and there's not 1,000 spent casings under his feet, then Stephen Paddock didn't shoot those people. Since we only have one body cam from all these officers that are inside the suite, there's only one body cam that's been published. The autopsy does not mention gunshot residue, and there's no ballistic results matching any of the victims to these weapons that are in the suite. So neither the FBI or the LVMPD presented this ballistic evidence that ties the weapons in the room to the weapons that were used to kill and to injure the people at the concert. So the next major gap in the narrative is the fact that there's no video or photographic evidence of gunfire coming from room 32135. We don't have any of the police mentioning it on body cam. We don't see it on any of the footage. And some of the footage has isolated room 32135 fairly well. If we see no video evidence or no photographic evidence of gunfire coming, we don't see spent brass casings on the floor, the window doesn't appear to be broken, is it reasonable to assume that 1,000 rounds were not fired from room 32135? So when we watch these clips, it's pretty clear that there's no evidence of gunfire coming from 32135. We know from the autopsy that there's no gunshot residue reported on Stephen Paddock's hands or gloves, which weren't mentioned, or his face. And with no photographic or video evidence that gunshots are coming from that room, and the fact that the weapons in the room were never ballistically matched to any of the victims or gunshot wound survivors, there's no evidence that Stephen Paddock shot anybody because the LVMPD and FBI have not provided that evidence. Then we have aircraft in the vicinity that are unaccounted for on flight radar. This is the time of the attack. You're looking at McCarran Airport, and the area with the red square around it encompasses the Mandalay Bay, the Delano, and the venue. The venue's right in the middle. Tropicana is up and to the right, and Las Vegas Boulevard is running north and south down the center. So north is up, south is down. We're looking for aircraft flying behind Mandalay Bay towards the venue, between the Luxor and the Delano, between Delano and Mandalay, 10:09 p.m. We don't see it. So what are these aircraft if they're not appearing here? We then see Maverick begin to take off, but Maverick doesn't come up and get to the venue till about 10:14 p.m. So the question is, what is this that we're seeing in the sky if there's nothing on flight radar? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Could this be where the shooters are, and that it's not coming from room 32135? Why don't we see that aircraft on flight radar 24? At this moment in time, there's nothing on flight radar. So now that we've accepted that this is potentially an aerial assault, we go looking for who would have the means, the motive, and the opportunity to pull something like this off. We look at the usual suspects. Would this be Venezuela? Would this be North Korea? Would it be China? Would it be Russia? Who would have done something like this? And that's where we begin the investigation. We wondered who would do this. If you can figure out the motive, we'll figure out who the killers are. So the next step in the investigation, since we don't see evidence of gunfire coming from room 32135, and we do see evidence of these rogue helicopters, is we start searching for, are there any other countries that have helicopters in the United States? And it doesn't take long to find out that we've been selling helicopters to Saudi Arabia and delivering their helicopters to them in the United States and training them on how to use them in the United States. So when we talk about the means, do you have the means to pull off the attack? It appears that the Saudi Arabian National Guard has the means. They have helicopters, and they have them in Mesa, Arizona, at the Boeing factory, where they train on how to use them. So 3 of their helicopters are kept there. Now, this is unlike other countries that might be considered enemies of the United States. North Korea does not have helicopters in the United States. China does not have helicopters in the United States. Russia does not have helicopters in the United States. The question is, does anyone else, any other countries, keep their helicopters near Las Vegas, close enough that they could pull off a mission in and out of Las Vegas, put them away, and there's no helicopters missing the next day? Who could do that? Well, we see that the Saudi Arabian National Guard has helicopters in Mesa, Arizona. Why that's important is because that establishes the opportunity and the means. They have the helicopters, and the helicopters are close enough nearby. Thank you for listening to this podcast. More to come.